Hey guys, this is Dark Prince. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Dark Prince Trades. Let's get to the core of what's happening in the stock market. The last few days have been big time volatility coming into play. A lot of stocks started to tank down, especially the small caps. Um, the SPY has been monstrously growing ever since the 462 support. I was able to place some options too with puts at the 470 top, and then I switched quickly to calls at 462. Closed them all at 465 because I wasn't sure if it's going to come down again. But then it started to go up more and hit what 470 again, 470.94. I don't know if it can continue to go all the way up to 475-ish and 480-ish. I don't know, but it's clearly hitting a top right now. SPY. Uh, but if I just look at the IWM on the other hand, SPY has eaten all the inflow of cash, to be honest, and IWM has hit a top after breaking out of 235 and have come down back to the 230 zone, which, in my opinion, should technically act as a support now if it is ever have to leg up beyond this consolidation that was going on for months and months and months on the IWM. So SPY is on top, IWM is also on top, but then it got pulled back drastically, unlike SPY. And then now SPY is waiting to see if this 230-ish line is going to hold as a support. And courtesy of this fall of IWM, the small cap index, there was plenty of stocks that also came down. And what I realized was there was mad panic in the market when one stock started to go down. There were multiple stocks following suit, and there was just mad rush of selling, and every pop on an intraday reversal was also getting sold out, and so it was hard to pick a bottom on a stock. It was also hard to predict how far that's going to reverse, and tolerance was put to a lot of question marks on tolerances. How far can I keep adding, or how far can this a specific stock go low? That's where I felt a bit of education on tolerance and also a bit of education on the indicators that would actually help us calm down as traders. As traders, we need to know our tolerances. It's not like you buy a stock, it's going to go up from there, right? Our mentality should be more like, hey, what's my risk and reward here? If I start scaling in at a specific point, what's my tolerance down the current price? What's my goal above the current price, right? So those things need to be set in stone for every pick that you're going to play. So I looked at various stocks that came to me this week, and when I look at all of them, there was no question about whether they are being oversold or not. Most of them are oversold. RSIs were hitting 30s, MACDs were nosediving. But the question comes is, when is the reversal going to happen, right? Now, we cannot play the when part. The question of when it will reverse is something very hard for us to predict. But what we can look for is what are those price points or the indicators that would actually help us identify if it is reversing. And if it is reversing, is it a strong reversal or a fake reversal? So those are the things that we need to actually learn in order to look into a specific chart and make the judgment accordingly. So, for example, I looked at this SQL. This was supposedly holding 3.6, 3.25. It was consolidating very nicely, occasional pops and spikes. And you see here the trend line that I even drew out before. So it was holding all of this nicely until a point where it just started to tank. Huge volume came into play in sell-offs. I don't know if there was any kind of a stop loss that got triggered, but 330 broke, 320 broke, and it came all the way down to 310. And the next day also the same thing continued. Although it tried to pop a bit, it end of the day and Friday, more importantly, there were more sell-offs. So I don't know how much of sell pressure is still in SQL right now. But then I did add this around the 320-ish mark. I even averaged it down with the core that was I was already holding around 350-ish. And so the question comes like, when is this going to reverse, right? So there's no question about whether this is oversold. Yeah, it is oversold. 28 RSI, perfect. Look at this nosedive. No question about it. I'm going to scale in here. I have some tolerance set here. I can afford to scale in more on this play based on my portfolio. So that's where your portfolio comes into play. How much more you can add, and what are you looking at in this play? Are you trying to break even, or are you trying to close at 360, or are you still aiming for that 580 mark? And what do you believe in the stock? What's your conviction on the stock? So a lot of questions come into a trader's mind, and that's where I felt like maybe we should look into this chart and decide how far this can actually go up, or when this can actually start reversing, right? So if I just look at this chart, there are few things that I noted. One is definitely the Bollinger Band. Just look how the Bollinger Band started to diverge. See the channel that has all of a sudden started to become more wide. This calls for volatility from what I've learned in my experience. There will be a lot of volatility just because the upper channel and the lower channel for a $3 or under $3 stock is almost $1 range. That is ridiculous in my opinion. And if this has to ever reverse, this has a very good potential right now to even break over that 420. I'm not going to say it is going to break out, but my point being, this needs to show some support, consolidation, and this also needs to show some reversal. I am having a position on this, but just because I'm having a position, I don't need to really say that, oh yeah, this is going to go over 420, right? I have to be honest here. And for me to be honest, if to continue this play, I need to see some sort of a consolidation. I need to see some sort of reversals in play. And so when you look at this Bollinger Band, one thing is clear. Yep, there is going to be volatility. I need to account that for further trades. But I'm also looking at the RSI, 30, 29-ish. Oh yeah, clearly oversold. But what am I going to look into the reversal here is basically, holding this 289, 290 zone, or I don't know how far it's going to go below. But then somewhere I want this to get into the channel. Look at the BB channel. It is at 311 ridiculously. That is the bottommost range on the Bollinger Band, and the pivot is at 365 and the upper channel is at 418. I want this to get into the channel. That would be my first sign of reversal. Okay. And then I would go into my hourly, because recently I've started to use more of Ripster's bottom clouds and top cloud plays. And when I use them, I don't know why this isn't showing up here, but when I use the 1 hour cloud on the EMA 72 and 89 and 200, that is looking at a very high price for SQL. And if it retests any of that range, then I would consider it to be in reversal mode. I believe somewhere around 340 is where the EMA clouds are hovering on top. So I feel that it is right now at a ridiculous place around 289, and I'm not sure when that reversal is going to happen. But when it happens, the numbers that we really need to see are the Bollinger Band channel, which starts at 311 at this point, and then 340 is over the EMA. So keep these things in mind. We are not here to figure out a bullish pattern on such charts. We are trying to figure out when the reversal is going to happen. Okay, so keep those indicators ready for all the charts that you're going to look at. All right, I'm going to show some example of another chart too. For example, ACHL. I did see ACHL. I saw some few of the stocks which were tremendously down. Let me show you ACHL here. Okay, so when I look at ACHL, right, it is below all the three SMAs. RSI is somewhere around 28 is 28.30, and the Bollinger Band is way above the 490 current price. It's at 5.08. The pivot is at 6.34. The upper channel is at 7.6. When I just look at this chart, you see those the channel that's coming up here, where every time it hits the top of the channel, there is a resistance. Hence the pull down all the way down to the midpoint of the channel here. I don't know if it's going to go below. I have no idea. But then some of the things that we really need to look in the chart for reversal is definitely the top of the trend line. And in my opinion, the 5.45, 5.6 and 5.6 area is going to act as resistance. And that is still far, in my opinion, from a 4.9, right? But then in order to show a reversal, it needs to break those key areas. The trend line needs to be broken in order to show that, oh yeah, it is reversing. Definitely the first things first is, this needs to get over $5. Without that happening, I don't see looking at 560 and 568 as resistance points. First things first, $5 need to break in. So this is a different type of chart. Different indicators will come into play here. The one good thing, other than the technicals, is the balance sheet is good. I looked at the balance sheet; they are really, really good. So we need to see, how much deep I'm gonna look into the technicals also for such plays. Technicals are just indicators. We don't need to solely rely on the technicals when there are some near-term catalysts. That's where my next point comes up. Where with all this RSI, MACD, Bollinger Band channels, the resistances to watch for on the reversal, and also on the EMA 200, which I always look at for reversals. EMA 72, 89, and 200. These are the three key things that I look at when price starts reverse. They get into these clouds, then I confirm that there is a reversal happening. So with all these technicals is one thing, but the next thing is when your stock is constantly dropping, you need to also know when is the near-term catalyst that you have for the stock. That is very, very vital, because catalysts drive the price of the stock in either direction. And in the case of this scenario, what we are talking about, where the price is constantly going down, we need to see if there is any news that is coming up, either in Q4. If Q4, if, is it in November or December? So those catalysts are going to play a key role in propelling the price reversal. uh, Basically gives you the magnet opportunities, to whatever price that the market deemed to put the stock in a fair play. And these things need to be accounted when you're buying such dips that constantly dips. So chart indicators are all one, near-term catalyst is another, and the third thing that I really wanted to mention is, how many institutions are holding this, and for how long this has been in downtrend. Because potentially, I'm not saying that tutes always sell into the tax loss season, but potentially there is a chance that tutes can actually create the sell pressure too, because of the tax loss that they could actually incur. So keep in mind of how many tutes that are holding your stock, and is that one of the key reasons why it could potentially drive the price down even further. So keep that in mind as well. So chart indicators, catalysts, tutes, all these three, you need to account in such stocks that are constantly falling down. And in this time only, I also see some stocks like easy fuel, where they are holding the price, even on the daily. If I look at it, there were drops, there were some scare, but it went up, dropped again, and then it just seemingly found a bottom here, and it's even to closed green on Friday. There was another stock, BFRI, aka Burfi, as we call it, that also closed green, if I know that. So some of the stocks are showing life, most of them aren't. Yeah, here's a BFRI. It bounced again from 2.46, so it could potentially start curling up too. But like I said, keep those three things that I mentioned in mind. Keep those indicators always on to make sure if it is even reversing, and set your tolerances, guys. There is nothing more important than preserving your capital. Capital protection is very, very key in such market conditions. I'm not trying to scare or create a panic here, but I'm also trying to put some sense into our thoughts. We believe in something, but something else happens. It is what it is. Market will make its own play, and we just need to agree certain things. But after looking at all this, right, there is one thing that one should never deter from. That is their conviction. Like if I have a conviction on BFRA, and that conviction is based on my DD, right? Technicals are all one indicator that we can look at, but what am I trying to get out of this stock? What is the potential that this stock has, be it short term or long term or mid term? So that due diligence, the market research, what it's going to say, that the stock is going to be valued in the future, and all that put into play, your conviction plays a major role in such situations. I have faced such tremendous down falls on stocks like VERB, when it fell from 1.5 to all the way down to $1, and then I held that all the way down to $1. Why would I lose 50% of my capital that I already put in, right? but then I stepped up, averaged, and bought more near the $1, and even it went down below $1, I guess, and then it just came all the way back. I just gave it a bit of time that it was needed, and eventually the conviction paid off. So patience is very, very key, along with your conviction. Just because you have a conviction doesn't mean that a stock need to do what you wanted to do. But then if you just give it the amount of time, with the catalyst around, I believe any stock would reverse. But keep all this in mind. Play to your conviction, guys. Stay strong. Don't get dejected just because your stocks are down. Manage your risks, set your tolerances. After all, remember what I said, preserve your capital. There is nothing wrong in having your capital held for some more time until you feel more comfortable to get back in the game. Market is not going to go anywhere. It is always going to be there. So play confidently. Make sure you know what you're playing, and don't ever break your discipline. If you put in your mind that, oh yeah, a specific stock, this is the price I want to buy and this is the tolerance that I have, respect the tolerance. Don't ever break your tolerance or discipline when it comes to playing in such markets. I would highly recommend that you stick to it. All right. I know I wanted to give you more specific details on the indicators and whatnot, but then I gave you my general opinion of the market itself, probably a bit dragging all the way down to 16 minutes right now. So I'll shut up right now, but then I wish you all good luck in the market for this week. Stay strong, stay positive, and YOLO. Bye, guys. Take care.